out in the world that give people hope and to do good. It's got to be to do good, whatever it takes. And it's hard because sometimes people don't really understand who they are themselves. That's why it's called self-discovery, and that's what we're doing here. Some of it is self-discovery, but some of it is some other stuff. But it's definitely personal development. 2 words: personal and development. So it's about you, and it's about development. And if you're new, you've never been here before, that's okay, because you can jump in anytime. You can go back and listen to old stuff. But this Sunday, I will continue talk about the great laws. So we started, is it 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago? And I will continue this series because it's really interesting. So a little bit, we're backing up a little bit and looking at what we've been talking about the last couple of Sundays. And we started with this, so we do a little bit of repetition. I heard that should be good. Repetition is the mother of skill. So we start with this. If you're new and you've never been here, that's, follow me now in the first slides. And if you've been here the last Sundays, this is repetition for you, but it's good. So we start with this. We are designed for success. So human beings, we're not human doings, we're human beings. That means that we got to be before we can do. And since we're designed for success, and everything in this world is operating by laws, everything in life is designed to function by laws. Since that is the case, you can go against me and say, no, that's not true. Well, prove me wrong. The principles that we have put down here is as a step-by-step progress. And a principle never changes. So the laws that we talk about here are the principles. Okay. Since everything is functioned by laws, success is predictable, because you can tell if someone is following those laws and what they're doing, or if they're not. So at the same time, with success is predictable, also failure is predictable. So you can easily say, well, that guy over there, no, he's not going to make it because he's not doing the right things. Okay, it's about doing the next right thing. Write that down. That was a $1 million tip. It's about doing the next right thing. That's what we learn here on Sunday school. And then at the same time, who we are today, everything you have and everything you don't have today is the sum of all your thoughts up until today. So we can say that our success will always be in relationship to our core belief system. And our core belief system, that's what we really believe about things. That's what we really think about things. We can trick ourselves and say, oh, I'm glad, I'm motivated, when we not really are, because the old thinking comes and takes over again. So we need to change our core belief system. That's what we need to change. And that's not the course today, what we talk about. You will see that we will talk about it in the future, and we talked about it a lot. So the core belief system. And then we started with, so now it's going to be some repetition here again, but that's okay, because in the end we'll have the new stuff. So these principles, these laws that we're operating under, we can find them in literature. Not in every literature, because you got to find the literature that are talking about these principles. And one of the principles that is fundamental is the great law. And the great law the great law tells us that what we sow is what we reap. That is the great law. So it's also called the boomerang law. What we throw out will eventually come back. You don't have to believe that. That's fine. And I'm not talking about short term, a year or 2 or 5. I'm talking about a lifetime. Like my old mentor Brian said, you got to set goals that will change people when you're not here. So when you have left planet Earth, when you're done here, and whatever you go in, you have set such goals. So those goals that you set will interfere and help other people even when you're not here, when you're gone. Anyway, so what we sow is what we reap. This is the great law. So it's good to have in the package. What we throw out there is what we reap. And this could be put down as almost anything. I mean, what we read is, of course, the information we will gather. Who we listen to, who we let mentorship from, who we spend the most time with is sowing, because that's what we sow, and that's what we will reap. What we say, our words, when we talk to people, our attitude is what we sow. So everything, that's what this is called, the great law. Everything that we do or not do is sowing. Okay? Did you hear me now? Everything what we do and that we not do. So not to do is also sowing. So some people that do, they think that stuff, it's coming for nothing or it's free, but they will, made a huge mistake, because that's not the case. Nothing is free. So that's a great law. That turns us to the next chapter, and that's the law of creation. And the law of creation tells us that life does not happen by itself. We need to make it happen. So you see how these two kind of tie into each other, because the great law is what we saw, what we do and what we not do. And the law of creation tells us it doesn't happen by itself. You got to go out and do it. You got to make it happen. So if something's going to change for you, it's not someone else is going to do it. You got to make it happen. You got to be that change. Doesn't matter what situation you're in. Maybe you can get help from someone. Maybe you can, someone is doing something for. That's fine. It's not what I'm talking about. But I say you are the one who's going to make it happen. So it is a law. Then we come to the third law, which is the law of growth. We talked about this last time a little bit more, so I will not go through everything as much as I did before, but I will just make some points for the new people. So the law of growth is another law. Ties into the first one, law, the sow and reaping, and ties into the second one, which is we got to make it happen. So the law of growth tells us that when we change ourselves, then our life change too. So if you haven't changed, if you play a game or you play a role like theater for other people just to make them happy, maybe you're a people pleaser, or maybe you play a role just so you wouldn't look stupid because you promised them to do something, so that's not for real, then change will not happen, because you're just playing a game. So you gotta change for real, and I mean through some mentorship, through someone that can tell you the stuff that you need to hear, not the things you want to hear. So the law of growth, we got to change ourselves, then our life will change. And the fourth chapter is the law of humility. And that tells us that we must accept something in order to change it. So here's the ego comes in, where because the last law we said, you got to change before something can change in your life. So some people doesn't accept who they are or what situation they're in. They try to fool themselves. No, that's not the case. This is not happening, or I'm not like them, or it can be thousands of things. But you got to go down to acceptance. You got to accept the things you cannot change, the courage to change the things you can, and the wisdom to know the difference. So you got to accept something in order to change it. You got to accept a situation, a person, whatever. And when you accept it, then first you can change it. So we're not playing games with ourselves anymore, because this is, getting down to the core, to the truth. Then, after humility comes the law of change. The law of change is a big one, and it's a hard one to swallow. I mean, I can tell you in my own experience, you don't have to believe this, but this is so true. It's been so true for me. And that is, history repeat itself until we learn and change our path. So it means that we will get the problems. They will come back to us until we learn. And when we learn is when we change our path. That's a proof that we learned. So last time I said, and this is so true, that is, first time everyone is a victim. Second time it's optional. So when we don't know better, and we maybe haven't experienced a situation or a person or a thing, then we're victims. But second time it happens, it's optional, because we already experienced it. So we should say to ourselves, hold on here, I've seen that kind of behavior before, and it will not turn out good. So I will choose not to be here, or I will choose not to spend time with that person. Or we see, you heard that expression, when it looks too good to be true, it's probably too good to be true. But some people, they never learn. So, but I would just tell you that the law of change means that history or a problem will repeat itself, come back to you until you change, until you learn and change your path. Then we had the law of responsibility. Law of responsibility. We must take responsibility for our lives. So you can you see, like I do, that all these principles, all these laws is kind of, hanging together or tie into each other, or, like, go back to the first one, the law of responsibility. We must take responsibility for our lives. So that is actually the first law. What we sow is what we reap. So as much as we take responsibility for our lives, the better our lives will become, because we will sow good things in our own life, just being responsible. And responsible is two words: respond and ability. Responsibility. So it's your ability to respond to a problem, or to something that happens, or to an opportunity. So your ability to respond to something that comes towards you is who you are. We started with this. So the money that you have in your bank today is the sum of all your thoughts, but it's also a byproduct of who you are. Okay? But money is not everything, because money is just an exchange system, you know. So we're talking long term when we at these webinars. Anyway, so the law of responsibility, we must take responsibility for our own lives. We can't let someone else do it. You got to do it. So it ties into the law of humility and the other laws. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we have a new law for you that were here last Sunday, the law of connection. Or maybe this one, I can't remember. Doesn't matter. The law of connection is a great one. It says that the past, the present, and the future are all connected. It does not mean that we have to live in the past or in the future. Does not mean that the past, what has happened, has anything to do with today. But they are connected. We can learn from them. If we did some sowing in the past, it will affect our future. If we did good things in the past, probably we will have a better future, and so on. If we were responsible in the past, we will have a better chance to be in the great present and create a better future. So the law of connection does tell us that it's all connected, but still we can change in the present. We doesn't have to be victims of what has happened, or we doesn't have to be victims of that we think shall happen in the future, because we'll be controlling the now and the present with our thoughts. Okay, so the title of today's webinar was actually this, the law of focus, because it's such a good one. The law of focus. You know, you need to be focused. You got to be focused. You know, when you do business, when you build something, you got to be focused, because if you're not focused, you know, a little problem or a little happening or something good or bad can distract you. But when you're focused, you will not get distracted. It doesn't distract you because you're so focused. Goals make you focused. But the law of focus in this term means that we cannot think of two different things at the same time. So you can't be both happy and sad. You're either or. You can't be positive or negative, because you can only have one thought at the time. And you heard me say this before. And when I talk about the subconscious mind and, you know, how to reprogram ourselves and how to use our power that we have, you know, the power of our mind, the capacity for belief. So we cannot think of two different things. And the law of focus, you see how it ties into the last one? That the past, the present, and the future. Because if you think about something bad that happened in the past, you will destroy your own future. Because in the present, where you are, when you think, you will think negatively. So you will carry the old stuff into the present and destroy your future. This is so important to understand, that, you know, do not be conformed to this world. This world tell you to be full of fear. Oh, you got to be scared about this and that and that. You know, we didn't come here to be fearful, because do not conform to this world, but for the renewing of your mind. And that is a little bit of this law in that saying, which is one of my, I love that part. the renewing of your mind. Imagine how you can renew your life when you renew your mind in the present. When you don't even think about the past or the future. You're in the present. You're in the law of focus. So the law of focus is also this. Your best thinking got you where you are now. It wasn't someone else that was thinking for you. It was you. Okay? Can we agree that? So you will get back the same problem until you learn and take another path. Okay? Then we have this, the law of here and now. Beautiful, beautiful. We cannot be present in the law of focus if we're looking backward. You see, these are the great principles. Here and now. So when you look backward to stuff that had happened to you or to someone else, or, then you bring that old thinking into your present. And you're destroying your chances of being of good use to yourself and to others. That's why positive thinking is good. Positive thinking is not everything. People, they come and they learn that, I gotta be positive, when something bad happens. Doesn't mean that you have to be a doormat or, let stuff happen to you, because it's not the same thing. But acceptance is, accept the things you cannot change. The courage to change the things you can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And this is, when we've been talking here for 30 minutes, whatever it is, there's some new information for everyone. There's a lot of new information. And when new information comes our way, cognitive dissonance kicks in. So some people go, I don't believe this. This is some, weird stuff. No, it's not. It's not weird at all. It's just principles. And that's where you need to be careful, because your ego will take you to make you not listen to the good stuff and have your old thinking set. It will use your old thinking, your old belief system, to try to conquer the new information. Say, no, don't listen to that. That's not true. And it's just ego. It's just edging God out. So that's opposite of humility. So to be humble is one of the cornerstones of success. And I will end with this today, because this is so important. It's so good. I love these 6 points. Know what you want. If you don't know what you want, how can you, do anything? You got to know what you want. And you got to be grateful, because a grateful heart is full of power and energy. Grateful, full of great. Keep your mind open. Does not mean you have to accept everything. Does not mean that you have to believe what I say or someone else. But keep your mind open. Say, hey, I'm going to check it out. I'm going to try it. That's the best way to do it. Keep your mind open for inspiration, for ideas. If you're overtaken by defeat, just keep on doing it. Because your burning desire, Napoleon Hill talks about, you got to have a burning desire. That's your why. Because when doubt comes into your mind, that's when you use your burning desire to build your belief system. You have a capacity for belief. And with that, I will end this seminar, webinar, whatever you will call it. And hey guys, if you are 10 people listening to this, it's good enough for me. I don't care how many people listen to it, but I think it's pretty dumb not to take the chance when you have such information that it can change people's lives. So promote this Sunday school to your team, to your people, whatever they are. Maybe they're not happy at the moment because something that happens in their life. Doesn't matter. Bring them here because this is where they can change. It's not on social media complaining about everything. That will not change nothing, I'm telling you. So, guys, see you next Sunday. Go out in the world and change people. Help them be joyous, happy, and free. Because that's the result of personal development. And most of all, free. Because when you free your mind of the world, then stuff will happen. Thank you.